Matt Hardy, who of course has been released from the WWE. It's been an interesting few weeks and months for the other half of the former Team Extreme. Matt Hardy has been very, very vocal now on YouTube and other various places that in fact he, is working, that he's a little bit annoyed about his position, and this of course has resulted in that release. Where for Matt Hardy now? Is he going to be heading to TNA like everyone else has speculated? Personally, I would like to see Team Extreme reunited, and of course Matt Hardy was a heel not too long ago when he took on his brother Matt at WrestleMania. Now Matt Hardy, perfectly placed as a heel. Those two could work great together over on Impact.
Yeah, Matt's got a lot of juice. I think definitely coming out on top with this one. For Vince probably to hold on to him probably wouldn't have been a good idea, as there's not really a whole lot he could have done with him. But now that he's no longer with WWE and heading for TNA, I do think that the future is bright for Matt Hardy, and I think there's endless things they can do with him. They can make him heel, they can let him shoot on his stint in WWE, the double-sided sword of Matthew and Matt. Endless possibilities for TNA and Matt Hardy. Big heel with Jeff, the coming together of Team Extreme one more time, and maybe Matt Hardy version 2.0. It's endless and great for Matt that the year of Matt might actually be the year of Matt.
That's exactly it. He may now have a chance to restart his career. In all honesty, the past few years haven't been the most championship filled for Matt. Now indeed, a tag team champion at one point with his brother. Other than that, I can remember US titles and maybe a feud with MVP, which was a little bit notable in fairness, and it had some interesting spots. But without a shadow, I think he can do so much more than he has been shown to be able to do in the company. Now, at times I might have said that I find Matt's matches quite slow, but in fairness to him, he is in fact a good worker, and I think in terms of wrestling and also that ability to dazzle with the high flying, Matt certainly can deliver. I just feel like he's always been given a kind of a bland storyline, apart of course from that famous Lita Edge Hardy story.
Yeah, when he's working heel, he's not overly convincing. That is one problem, and as a babyface, I think what he's done and the way he, I suppose, is probably a nice guy, isn't all that good from either. But I had a really good point now and it's fucking gone.
Well, Matt Hardy's gone too, and indeed, I think both of us said it weeks ago that this year of Matt that he kept promising, it was never going to transpire in WWE, and TNA, a perfect location now, as we mentioned, Jeff ready and now heel, perfect time for Matt to come in and, as you say, shoot on the E.
Shoot on the E. He's got plenty of material, and no doubt, even if it's some bit indirect or whatever, it will be good. But I wonder if it is the 90-day jive. Will we have to wait 3 months for it to happen? But then again, if he does, he's like, what was that dude out of Juice and Domino? Was it Juice or Domino who had to try to get his job back with some new gimmick with YouTube videos?
I believe it was Domino, yes.
Yeah, I don't know if any of you saw that, but Domino, when he got released there, whenever it was, last year, the year before, came up with this new kind of gimmick deal, and he started posting his own videos on YouTube and sent some to the office, but they weren't really having it. But I think if Matt did something like that, which I'm sure he's more than capable of doing, he's not the daftest fucker on the planet, but a bit of YouTube action can only be good.
He certainly is no stranger to YouTube. Like ourselves, Matt has been a frequent poster on that site, and I feel like it's done him more harm than good. Now, I mean, coming on and being controversial is one thing, being political in the wrestling business is another. But when you're actually really convincing fans that perhaps you are going a bit over the deep edge, is that a work too far? Is that just going beyond it, and maybe in a sense damaging your legacy and damaging your character? Now, we all know some of these videos went to very strange places, and co-workers such as Lita heard in interviews saying even she didn't know what was going on with the guy, and you have to wonder why he was so stuck in a rut in contract terms. Why was it so difficult for him to go? Did they just refuse to release him?
Yeah, I think I think they probably know that he would just shoot it fucking like a mad thing anyway. And now there's rumours that there's a lot of other people that are not too happy with the way the business is. And would you blame them with the E?
You have to look at the way the company has treated their former employees, and indeed the contrast when you see somebody go somewhere else like TNA, and they always look so much happier. Of course, that reduced schedule, always a big factor for some of these ex-WWE superstars. They get a chance to go to one place, and indeed they don't have to travel the length and breadth of the country. If they're on the house shows, maybe a little bit of that, but really I think these house shows quite often they're limited to some of the younger performers, maybe the guys we don't see on TV that much. But Matt Hardy, of course, could be Dixie's next big surprise. Maybe the next pay-per-view she's going to talk about how somebody is returning. But as you say, the 90-day no-compete clause, a very valid point. Daniel Bryan recently, the guy who was suspended, and indeed that's all it was, because he came back and everybody almost had a clue that that was going to happen. Of course, we can never confirm these things, but Matt Hardy back in the E, it really wouldn't surprise me.
Yeah, back in the E?
Yeah, if he went back and they really only had suspended him for 90 days.
Ooh, that wouldn't be too good. Don't know if that's going to happen, but if it does, I think he's probably fucked from there, really, isn't he?
Yeah, what can you do after a big feud with your brother? It doesn't go down that well, and I thought that was going to be the making of Matt, and then a sudden change back to babyface. Now again, these are the decisions that it's always tough to figure out why they make choices like that and what it is that's going on. But I presume maybe Matt has been stuck in that Carlito position where he's been probably saying for a while now that give me something else, something more, or I'll just have to go to TNA. So what will happen? We're going to have to wait in the next 90 days at least. We're probably not going to have an answer, but I think TNA Impact probably a certainty. And Matt, in amongst all those guys and legends, Matt, of course, with Jeff, Sting, Nash, Flair, Hogan, it would be good.
Yeah, I think it will be good. Maybe a slight revamp of the hair and whatnot. One thing I think he definitely needs to do is lose a few pounds though, and maybe gimmick the hair some other way. Not Shannon Moore way, but definitely some other kind of way. Maybe not Jeff way either, but definitely something. Maybe no hair might even be better, but definitely lose a few pounds, sort the hair out. I think version 2.0 will all be good for Matt Hardy.
It's a good point, and mentioning Shannon Moore as well, you forget that he's got a clique of his friends over there, and that's got to be a powerful draw. It's often been said that perhaps when that Hogan Bischoff era began, that maybe Shannon and Jeff were talking to him and saying come over here immediately, but it's taken this long for Matt to get from point A, where perhaps he was stuck, to now where he is free. And let's just hope in the time between now and TNA Impact that we get some kind of RF shoot interview, and I think that could be quite revealing. We could learn lots about what happened, and always great to see ex-WWE guys in that RF chair in that brief time before or after they're released.
You would wonder where the things really went wrong, because on his Twitter thing, didn't he give props to Michael Hayes and Vince full on? So
yes,
from a SmackDown point of view, I know maybe Trips was spring cleaning.
He could be doing that work from the office.
Fall cleaning, really.
Yeah, he probably most likely maybe approved that, and perhaps he signed it off. We know, of course, Vince did. Amicable or not, we're going to have to wait and see. But if in years to come, if he's back there, of course, never say never in the wrestling business, and indeed I think it's very possible that he will be. So Matt Hardy's released and indeed no longer suffering. We're going to see what happens with him in the future.